How to buy from Alibaba safely in 2023. I'm gonna go over all of my rules of thumb about how to make purchases on Alibaba and interact with manufacturers so you're not scammed, you don't lose money, you don't have quality issues, and you just don't have problems and you have a successful running business. Before we get too far into the video, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. It's absolutely free to do, and you might just learn something that helps you succeed in life. Yes, I am a little dramatic, but there's really good information on this channel. Okay, let's say you started an online business, whether it's a Shopify business, drop shipping, just a general e-commerce, whether you're storing products or doing whatever. You want to buy some goods on Alibaba, you don't know where to start, or you're already doing this and you want to be a little bit safer about what you're doing, or you just want to understand what someone that's been doing this for like a decade does and does this for themselves, has done this as a career with large organizations and companies. These are the rules of thumb that me and Fortune 500s are following. Yes, people at that scale are still buying stuff on Alibaba. It's just a platform for trade. It's regulated. It's a great place for escrow. More business is done on that place than you could even imagine. All right, well, step one, identify the product, understand what you're looking to buy, and if you are buying something that's competitive, identify all the suppliers, right? The first thing to understand is that when you go on Alibaba, at the get-go, there's no real way to understand whether you're dealing with the manufacturer of the good or a middleman, a warehouse like Amazon, Walmart, or anything that stores many manufacturers' products and acts as the intermediary that sells to people that go onto Alibaba for them, and they do all the customer service and the sales and everything like that. That happens. And the middlemen are actually probably the bigger half of the portion that exists on Alibaba. That's not a bad thing. It's always great to go with the manufacturer, but sometimes the manufacturer just isn't equipped with the right departments, people that speak English and all those things to actually interact with you. So it's not always a negative thing. And sometimes these middlemen can provide extra services that you can take advantage of. But that's at the get-go. So let's say you've identified your products or your product. Let's say you have a couple tabs or one tab open where you've got the products. The first thing that you're gonna do before you even inquire is make sure that on your Alibaba profile, you have all the pertinent information that makes you sound interesting as a potential business partner. Don't sell yourself as the next Walmart or Target, but definitely be a little bit, let's say, adventurous in how you describe yourself as a business so that they can still get excited. You don't want to sound like you're brand new at it, but you want to be as honest and transparent as possible and somewhere in between. The next step is to make a direct message without submitting a quote or without inquiring about a quote, without being too specific, without being too direct. You're introducing yourself and you're saying, and you're basically leveling that you have interest in the product and you want to learn more. What I've always done is I reach out and I say, hi, my name is XYZ. I own or run XYZ company, or I work for XYZ company. We are interested in some of the products that you provide. Can you tell me a little bit more about your product line? And please send me a catalog. That's the first piece. And then I say in a separate paragraph, can you also tell me a little bit about yourself? Where are you located? What kind of business do you do? Are you the OEM manufacturer or are you the manufacturer of these goods? What is your preferred method of shipping? And what is your preferred method of payment? So what I'm doing here is I'm scoping out all the pieces on Alibaba that are really important in creating a good business working relationship. So when you do have a successful deal and purchase on Alibaba, what you've done is you've pre-vetted your product, you've gotten a sample, you've agreed upon a price for a wholesale, larger quantity order. You've paid for it either through PayPal or Alipay. That's how I would recommend starting. Do not wire any money. Start your business relationship with an escrow service, meaning the money is held or there is some guarantee around the money for product delivery of high quality. Let the goods be delivered to you. Inspect the goods yourself. Look through every single one of them. Understand the quality, start to build a quality report internally for yourself so you understand for future purposes. Respond to the manufacturer, say thank you, do all the good graces and business customs, and move on. Maintain the relationship. If you're ordering once a year, check in every 2 months. If you're ordering a couple times a year, make sure you still have a communication every 2 months, even if it's just saying, hello, we're still selling your product, we're gonna have more in the future. That creates a good business relationship. But that's the perfect sale. Where it seems to fall apart is everything I mentioned at the get-go. You need to understand payments, right? So if they're not willing to work as a new customer on PayPal or the payment processor on AliExpress, red flag, you might get scammed. You may not because they're not equipped to. You need to urge to do this. And the expectation is if you're using PayPal, you were paying the fee that they would have to eat. So there's always going to be a 4% increase on the total price because you're choosing to pay PayPal. It's cost of doing business factored into your pricing. Once you've identified that they're willing to do one of these two things, and again, I have not really come across anyone that once you push back, if their initial answer is no and you say, it's the only way I can do business, it usually moves the ship. If it doesn't, move on, new manufacturer, new relationship with somebody different. If that's the only product, you need to go and move on and submit an RFQ for somebody that produces the same product, because if they're not willing to do that, it's not worth the risk. The next thing is understand shipping. Not all manufacturers overseas understand how to ship to your door. There's a lot of shipping to port, and as your quantity goes up and you're doing more sea shipping, it's a lot of port to port, and you have to do more organization through customs, pickup, delivery to a business address, all of those things. I always want to make sure that the manufacturers that I'm interacting with or middlemen all do air shipping as well as sea shipping. So what that can do is that, one, it identifies that they have the experience of making sure the product gets to my door. On top of that, I can get some emergency products, I can get samples via air, but it lets me know that they're doing enough business and they have enough variety in their customers that they're experienced in both. And they're not just sending it in a crate for you to figure out how to get a truck there, licensed to get into the port, get it out of the port through customs, all those things. Ultimately, they're also going to be the resource that helps you do all that when you have a larger order, and you want someone that's done the air shipping, meaning they've handled smaller quantities, worked with customers like you yourself probably, and then will help you work through the larger order sea travel type shipping. The next thing to understand is where are they located. That's going to be critical as well, just so you can understand who you're working for. I always like to get a factory tour. I don't push that hard, but I'd love to get on a Zoom. I love to get on a Zoom call and have someone walk me around. Most manufacturers are okay with this. Them saying no, it's not the end of the world. There is some privacy. Sometimes, you know, they aren't the best conditions, not to say they're bad working conditions, but as somebody that used to work in manufacturing, there were for sure areas of like machine shops and tool and die design that I wouldn't want to show someone at any given time. I'd want to clean it up or make sure there was a shift change and all the tools were put away before they showed me. Something that you can do, but I would want to understand where they are, and just so you can know, are they the middleman or the original manufacturer? Again, if they are the middleman, it's just good to understand that so you understand the relationship you're going to have. So if there's a quality problem, you're going to go to them, but then they're going to have to go to the next step. So it's not going to be a direct response. Just understand that getting into it. But the biggest red flag here, and I think the biggest and most important thing is if a manufacturer or middleman, when you reach out, refuses or doesn't answer any of the questions. They may not answer at the get-go. You may have to ask a couple times, right? There is a language barrier for the most part, and other things. There are different customs around business interactions. But the reality is, if those questions remain unanswered, your statistically best choice is to step back and move on. Yes, you're going to move on from some great people that will give you great products at great prices that aren't trying to scam you or won't cause problems. The reality here, though, is it's all about the odds. You want to stack the odds in your favor, and if you stack the odds in your favor, you run the least chance of something screwing you in the long run, and ultimately, when those things happen, it's with a large dollar amount of product. And although I've had some things happen to me, I haven't had anything catastrophic yet, knock on wood. I have had colleagues have catastrophic failure in the supply chain, meaning an entirety of an order, something goes wrong and they lose the entirety. I just had a friend that just leveled up their business. They were doing their first order where they were really stocking product. They placed an order for like 75 grand worth of product. It doesn't sound like a ton of money, but for somebody that was selling at $5,000 orders, it's a significantly different change in product quantity, and the entire order was compromised and they lost the 75 grand. There was no recourse. So that was almost business ruining. It surely wiped out all of his profit for like the last 2 years, which hurts, right? I mean, that hurts. So what you can do is follow the rules that I just gave you, and that's going to best set you up. And actually, it's not even rules. Just follow asking those questions and getting responses. That's going to best set you up for the future on Alibaba. That's what I do. That's my rule of thumb. That's how you don't get scammed. It's just that simple. And beyond that, there's not much else you can do other than flying out to the manufacturer. So know that even with those things, it's not always a guarantee, but that's how you're going to best protect yourself. Good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next video.